Well, thank you, yeah. Well, good afternoon, everybody again. Colin. Now, I want to mention on this video, I have some information looking at this new SARS thing at the moment. This similar to SARS. I think 100 people in China have died of it. Of course, it's spreading around to different parts of the world. Now, I have a reason for this. You see, put it this way. A friend of mine had a very sore throat. Now, I didn't just tell you that he had a sore throat. I said to you that he had a very sore throat. I didn't emphasise it, as I did now. I just wanted to say that he had a very sore throat, not a sore throat. There's a big difference. Now, excuse me. Now, what it was it's either a virus or an infection, probably a virus. Now, I had vitamin C tablets, and I gave them to him, the orange flavoured ones, and he began to chew them like lollies, and it had completely healed up his virus that he had. So I was looking again at Adele Davis today. She wrote at least 2 books, Let's Eat Right to Keep Fit, but her main one seemed to be Let's Get Well. She maybe wrote that first, and her second book later. I was having a look through it this afternoon for today's video, but I didn't quite get, there's several pages and I didn't quite get the gist of it. I need to present to you the pages, not just vitamin C, but it does appear, I can't state it for a fact, but it does appear that this vitamin C in high dosages can knock out this virus, but I won't state it for a fact, more of a probability in itself, like, there's a few other things she mentions. But I'm pretty sure in one of her books I thought I said that she read that vitamin C destroys all viruses and infections, and what it doesn't destroy, it'll render harmless. Now, I couldn't find it in so far in this book, Let's Get Well, but it might be in her other book, Let's Eat Right to Keep Fit. I came across it just this afternoon, but I didn't have time because of this video. I wanted to put on about the SARS thing at the moment. At the moment, I was on that for my video, today. I'll give you the reason why that I mention this a bit later on, perhaps. Now, basically, you see, what I'm kind of driving at then is, it depends on who you are. You take Winston Churchill now, Sir Winston Churchill. He had his cigar, and he was your next door neighbour, and he never was Prime Minister of England. And he came up with the ideas that he did when he was Prime Minister, but he'd never been Prime Minister, and so just people saw him as the next door neighbour kind of thing, the man next door sort of thing. Like the girl next door could have a wonderful voice, high, and you laugh and think, oh, she's just the girl next door, and yet she's got a nice voice, but she's tops, but she doesn't think anything of it about it herself, and you don't think it. You think, oh, she's the girl next door, and she could have a good voice. We sort of go by who you are, kind of thing. And so, anyway, he could be saying, Sir Winston Churchill could be saying the things that he was saying during the war, and people who listened to him during the war wouldn't listen to him if it had been the next door neighbour. It depends on who you are, you see, and the position that you're in. You write, a tramp, say, writes on toilet paper, the correct combination, say, for the cobalt bomb, and they don't even listen to him. If they did read it, they just laugh or whatever, and wouldn't take it seriously. It's a tramp on toilet paper. And yet some mathematician or some person high up in the world, some prominent person, writes a piece on the letterhead, and the letterhead is in gold. Say he still wrote conventionally. Instead of emailing it, he thought he'd write this proper letter, or he'd put it on email then, or whatever, with a letterhead or something, and something flash and that, and he could have the wrong combination, and the tramp has the right one. You see, when you hear something, when you get a letter or an email, there's only one thing that matters about that email or that letter, and that is it's what the letter says that counts. A woman sends you an email or letter saying she hates you with a black hatred, and I hate you, I'll never forgive you, and I hate you, and I want to see you again. Or in contrast, the same woman writes to the same woman and says, I love you so much, you're my best friend in the world, you always will be, I love you forever, something like that. See, it's what the letter says that counts. People do change their mind, of course, all the time. So we're going to have a look at the SARS thing again now. I do sort of have the information sufficiently, of course, to get the SARS thing completely eradicated from the world. If I can put these things together, what Adele Davis says, and get it fixed up, put together, look up her other book, Let's Eat Right to Keep Fit. You could dig up these things yourself, actually, on the internet. I'll give you them again. It's called Let's Get Well by Adele Davis. She has a concordance at the back of her book. And we could ask the internet about the vitamin C content and that in relation to viruses. The internet, you can get amazing things on the internet. You can read books, I think, now on the internet and that. So the internet, or whatever, could give you the information. So that's Let's Get Well by Adele Davis and Let's Eat Right to Keep Fit by Adele Davis. So they might provide you the information. Look up viruses and infections. So anyway, so I do have the information to heal up the SARS if I could just provide the rest of the information sufficiently, because probably, you see, would heal all viruses, even if the person wasn't on very good nutrition, because it's after that virus. But the amount to take is a question too. My friend who chewed these vitamin C tablets like lollies, he didn't tell me how many he chewed, and I don't remember how long it took to heal it. Maybe 2 or 3 days, and you can chew them like lollies. One problem you might find is that you might need to urinate more often, like I did once when I was taking high dosages. But it's a small price to pay for if you get healed of a sickness. You might have to bump it up. One woman took 15,000 units or milligrams. 1 gram. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. What's 15 grams? Is it 15,000? Yeah, 15 grams. And she didn't get healed of this particular disorder, but she bumped it up to 25 milligrams, or 25 grams, that's right, 25 grams, 1,000 milligrams, hang on, where are we? 25 grams, that's right, be 25,000 milligrams, that's right. And she got healed of it. Now, that's not to mean to say that vitamin C is going to heal everything by any means, but just what she had. But we're getting back to SARS at the moment, or this new strain of SARS, whatever it's called. I think I heard it a few times, but I've just forgotten what it is now. I'm not particularly concerned with the name of it. You know what I mean, this current one from China. So I do have the information. Then if I find time, I could put it on Jacinda's email if I could find one, but you probably won't even get back a reply, or might not even read it, and because these people are busy, like I wrote to the prominent the Honourable Winston Peters about that. I felt that just 1 hour's daylight saving was hardly worth it. Well, you get all this trouble to change the daylight, it's daylight switching actually, it's not daylight saving a bloody at all, because all you're doing is just switching it from the daylight, you more darkness in the morning and less at night, because they put it forward at 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning, around about, September or so, 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning, they put it ahead, so 2 o'clock becomes 3 o'clock. So that means that 6 o'clock is now 5 o'clock, because they put it forward, don't they? They put it backwards to go back and forward to go forward. So, okay, that's 6 o'clock, but it's actually 5 o'clock. So therefore, I would assume there must be more darkness in the mornings. So in other words, you've just switched it from morning to evening. So it's daylight switching, not daylight saving. So anyway, what happened was I never got a reply at all from the Honourable Winston Peters. And as I say, these people are very busy and that. And Adele Davis, in her books, she wrote once that she got too many letters, and so she decided to answer them by her books. So had she spent all her time replying to letters, she might not have had found time to write these books, which are much better than... it takes time writing people to people too. And so maybe, that is a problem, but it is a general thing, though, that if you're nobody, they don't know you, they sort of don't want to know you. But if you're the same person and you're in a place of authority, the Prime Minister or something, then they take notice of the same thing. And so therefore this SARS thing definitely can be knocked out by nutrition if it's just necessary for a few more things to take with the vitamin C. She was talking about other things to build up the white blood cells and that, and emphasis particularly on case of wheat germ. But then wheat germ needs some calcium and magnesium to balance it out. It's very high in phosphorus, but apparently just milk for wheat germ might be enough. It's mainly yeast is very high in phosphorus and need a balance of calcium and magnesium. So I mix 3 tablespoons of calcium powder and about 1.5 tablespoons of magnesium powder, and I stir it in. What Adele Davis says to do, to stir it in into, say, 1 pound of yeast. But anyway, excuse me. So getting back again into this SARS thing. So at least with these this other information I have, I was just looking at it today, and I even found Adele Davis's other book, Let's Get Well. It was underneath something I looked up, and I found it, but I didn't have time to look into it because I wanted to get onto the SARS thing at the moment, because it's a current virus around the world at the moment. So there's no need for this going around with this bloody shit, these masks, the bloody around your nose and all that bullshit. When you know what to do, it's all bullshit. You know how to heal these things. But we're just talking about viruses at the moment. Vitamin C can just help a lot with other things, but it's not, I don't know, heal up everything, but can certainly be very good against viruses and infections. PARB is very good for the nerve endings. For example, I had a guy, Emil, he came to me, and he had this very very red skin because he'd been in the sun. He got terrible sunburn. So I had the vitamin A, not the vitamin A, the PABA, P-A-B-A, para aminobenzoic acid, association of the B complex group. But Adele Davis said it is part of the B complex. But anyway, I won't go on about that. I'll just say that when Emil was applying it, he was saying at the time, it's good to take it, sort of taking the pain away. And I thought, it must be just the coldness of the cream, wouldn't work that quickly. But then at another time I was having a look at Del Davis's book, and she said to me that PABA can take the pain away. It's sort of instantly or almost instantly. I can't quite remember, but it's pretty nigh instantly. As soon as that PABA strikes the nerve endings, it can take away the pain pretty nigh instantly. And that's why Emil was actually saying their pain was actually being taken away. And another girl, I was at a prayer meeting, and this girl, she had walked into a glass door. And I don't know if you've ever walked into a glass door, but it can be painful as buggery. And she was still very sore with it at the meeting. So I had the PABA, and I got her to put it on liberally, the affected part. And I didn't think that one application would be a bloody enough, actually, a bloody tall. But the next time she saw me, she said it took the pain away completely. She used the word completely. So it's just amazing what it can do. But we're getting back to the SARS thing, this current SARS thing, similar to SARS. And so, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, with the other information I've got to get it to like if I got it to Jacinda, say, or Honourable Winston Peters, or some prominent person, say, and then you see nothing would happen, you see, and so that's the stage I'm at the moment with these videos, and then you yourself, all of you are probably in the same position that's hearing me, especially my current ones. I got 52, I think, followers, and you're in the same position too. You probably got you might be students and that, and you've got no authority either, and there's no more here from you either. But what you can do, though, for me, as I pointed out before, you can, if you haven't already done so, I've mentioned this several times, you could write to the Olympic Committee for the changeover for the medal system for the gyms, as I've outlined in 2 or 3 of my videos, my first 2 in particular, and I've brought it up a number of times, and I don't want to sort of bring it up too many times. Yet on the other hand, excuse me, a bit itchy, a bloody again. Now, so we're looking at, so we're looking at as Olympic Games. So if you could hear my 2 videos, if you haven't heard them, write to, send an email to the New Zealand Committee for the changeover to the diamonds, the rubies, the 4 top ones, diamonds, is it rubies, and emeralds, is it, and sapphire. There's 4 main ones. What's sure if the second one was rubies or another one? And they're right in front of me. And so our athletes come home with these, and instead of this bullshit they give you, it's plated gold, and what are they plated on? Bronze. Well, you just got a bronze medal come first, plated with gold. How could you sell that? Or is copper or brass, say brass? Then you got a thin coating of gold on brass. So you've actually got brass to come first, not a gold medal. The last gold medal was in 1912. So would you get any money for that if these people that buy jewellery and that around the world and that, and they knew you told them that this is brass coated with thin coating of gold, would you get as much for them? They wouldn't even probably buy it off you. The same with silver. Or silver's no bloody good. That's not a gem. That's just silver. And then bronze is a bloody insult. Give you a cheap bloody shit like that to come third. But anyway, it's all in my videos. I don't want to keep repeating it myself, but it does help to repeat because it embeds it deeper each time. And so therefore that's what you can do, is you can write to that, you go that far from me if you haven't already done so. You don't have to give them arseholes. I stressed earlier on that, give them arseholes, but you might like to write the way you want to write to them about the changeover. And don't, don't let me give you arseholes. Don't let me tell you what to do. You write to the committee or email them in the way that, word it the way you want to word it. And so if they got 52, you see, just might be enough for them to trigger to hear my 2 videos, and that could trigger that could be enough. And they write to Tokyo, and there's enough time to change it over, because today a lot, as I've said before, and you know so well, it will be done by buttons, literally by buttons, a lot of it. Putting money for your account into another one just by pressing buttons, and opening up somebody's account probably can be done just by pressing buttons, putting money in by buttons. And so it can be done, even though the Olympic Games are not until the end of July. See, there's time. Just at the end of January now, you've got about 6 months to go. So therefore, if you could do that, if you haven't already done so, and because my friend that's been helping me on this, I don't know anything about this, these videos and Instagram and that. I'm just learning, because we all got to learn, I suppose. People just learned earlier than I did. So he hasn't got a reply either. He sent 2, two on my behalf, I think, and 2 on his own, and he hasn't even got a reply back from the New Zealand committee. So I'm sort of, in a way, reached a stalemate in a sense with these videos. I might have to kind of start getting closer to the Holy Spirit to let him guide this situation, and he can tell me. I can ask you, well, what's the story now? Where do we go from here? Do you want me to be Prime Minister? If so, open the door. If you don't, close the door. How can we get these done? How can we get this message of bloody cross now to the world now? How can we do this? Stadiums are to be taken, but they're not taken yet. As I mentioned before, what's happened with taking stadiums, I don't want to repeat myself too much in bloody again, and but you can follow me too. If you keep following my videos, it's good too. And then you can probably always go back on my videos too if you want some information. I suppose the videos can come up, and you can. There's something I said you want to have another look at, or something like that. But I just want to stress about this new SARS thing that it depends, you see, on who you are is the problem. Who you are, that counts. See, Jacinda now, she's getting much more, people listen to her much more than if she was just your next door neighbour. And she could be telling you the same things that she's telling now, and again, you see, you don't treat it anything like as seriously as she is, and it depends on who you are. So that's the position I'll have to be in, as I can see it, to get things moving. And as I say, one way is to be the Prime Minister. But there's a point I've pointed out before about this. My last video, I gave you what can be done with money. I'll make it just very brief. Very brief. He produced billions by counterfeit money, built flats 45, 50, 55 stories high, provided the water place for the water for all farms up in the sky, large things, corrugated iron floating down to the reservoirs. The water pours in from the rain as it hits the corrugated iron, and so on, and how they get rain, plenty of water. I outlined it in my last video, and shelters for all the sheep and the cows and everything. I brought that one out, and one other one was making our land what shall I say, organic, and Debbie Olsen's the one that can put us right for that. she comes on Star Radio on Friday and Saturday. I just keep my radio onto Star Radio, and she comes on only about 5 minutes. I think they give her a Guy Shaw. I think he hosts it, and he only gives her 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but time flies, especially when you're listening to what's her name again? Debbie Olsen. Yeah, I think that's her name. And now, just recently, not too long ago, we'd had a disease in our cattle or our cows, and they were killing some to try and stop it. That shows you that our land is not organic. Because in the States, as I mentioned, they had some cows feeding on organic pastures, and so in experiments they tried to give them diseases, foot and mouth. They tried to give them Bang's disease and others. I need to look it up again to find out what it is they gave them, but they couldn't take any of them because they were eating organic pasture, so they didn't take any of these diseases at all. Because they're getting on organic pasture, so New Zealand is not. But if New Zealand was, and they tested it all from Tokyo and Berlin and Paris and London and Canberra or whatever, and Ottawa, wherever that is or something, and with some Brazil, they sent from all over the world and tested it and took them back to their own countries and analysed them, and found that, because they tried to give them experiment, they tried to give our cows diseases too. And so their labs all come back with the same conclusion. It was negative. And so they realised then that New Zealand cows were tops. And so the milk, they tested the milk, they found it was high standard. And so it got around the world that New Zealand milk is the top quality milk in the world. So they charged a higher price. And so Fonterra, whoever it is, starts giving New Zealand farmers higher money for their milk, because it's well sought after around the world. People are crying out, they're prepared to pay the higher price as long as they get New Zealand milk. It's the best milk overall in the world. Not to say that there's not a few individual farms that also got organic around the world, but as a nation, it's the top milk as a nation around the world. It could be done, you see, and all these things, but well, I think my time's up, 27 minutes, yeah. So this problem up here is my time. I'm lucky if they give me half an hour. They're very gracious to me if they do. I think they have done. So I've thanked them before for that, and I'd like to thank them again, because they test these videos out, I think, on before they go on. So I must close the game now. See, it's about 30 minutes now. So in the meantime, then we'll just have to push ahead. And so what you can do for me then is get your email to the New Zealand Committee, hearing my two videos, seeing my two videos, first two, because that's on the Olympics, and you get the message if you haven't, and then see if we can get them to give them our soul. We don't have to give them our souls, as I say. And if they can reply, there's still time. Otherwise, we have to wait 4 more bloody years before we get the next Olympic Games, you see, and try and get them done now. It's 6 months a bloody way, is it? Yes, it's 6 months a bloody way. And so it can be done. Well, I must close. I'm half an hour, so I'll let you I'll catch up with you on my next video then. So bye for now. Colin again. Bye.